Welcome back to the show, and thanks for watching. I'm your host, Johnny Freeborn. You're watching Central Valley Business, and my next guests are the Raging Grannies.
Yeah. Woo!
And Kay and
Pat.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Tell me about what you do.
Well,
Besides getting into trouble all the time.
actually, that's about it.
Okay.
That's our main purpose.
We are an international organization. It's quite active in Canada as well as the U.S. And we mainly sing songs. We have a very large list of songs. We make up new lyrics to old melodies, so they're easy to learn. And we sing about justice, we sing about climate, women's issues.
So it's a political kind of an approach.
Well, it's
a granny approach.
It's a granny approach.
We've been around a long time, and grannies have a lot of wisdom. I'm 83.
I'm 82.
You wouldn't know it.
And
Of course not, because the lights are so flat.
And besides that, you keep active and involved.
Wow.
You're just going to live a longer and healthier life. If you remain alert to what is going on in the country, you have to take stands. And so it keeps you young.
Yeah.
And I think not so much political as maybe asking people to focus on common sense. For instance, this issue about General Flynn and his phone conversation or internet was monitored and leaked, that he'd been contacting the Russians. I have no idea if it's true or false, but anyway. But the focus from the Republicans has been, oh my God, there's leaks, instead of saying, is this true? And I was thinking when I was raising children, if Susie reported that Johnny had done something wrong, I didn't bawl Susie out for reporting, at least until I'd investigated to see if it was true. And that's the first step. And then if Susie was over-reporting or shouldn't have been reporting, then yeah, she gets bawled out. But in the meantime, you get to the truth of the matter before you start, I don't know, trying to obscure the whole idea that something went wrong. And we need to find out what it is.
And this is what mothers do.
So it's more, I think it's just good old-fashioned common sense that I think mothers are very good at.
And that's why we need more and more women in Congress.
I see. It's a gender issue is what it is.
Well, it's common sense and it's wisdom that comes through generations.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother was one of 14 children, and she learned a lot about dealing, because she was the oldest girl of 14. And so by the time she got to us, she knew a lot of the answers and how to handle situations. And of course, there was no birth control in those days, so she had 14 kids. And she lived long enough
It's a small tribe.
to be able to have 14 kids.
Wow.
And so many women die in childbirth, or used to die in childbirth. So we're living in a very special time where we can control our lives, our bodies, how many kids we're going to have or not. So that's sort of what we do, what we talk about. This crazy hat, I mean, is this an outrageous hat? And the grannies do this. We wear funny hats, we wear aprons, and because that's sort of the stereotype of an old woman. They're kind of crazy, wacky. They don't know what they're doing. So we just
So you go with the irony of it.
Let's go with the irony of it. And
Okay.
this is who we are. Oh, he just put up a picture of Raging Grannies
Oh,
somewhere.
nice.
Look at
There
that.
you are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And So we have gone to a new style hat. This was from the March in Washington, Pat, and I and another friend went to Washington, D.C. to march. And again, for women's rights. So this is a pussy hat, but because I'm a raging granny, I did add a flower. And, but, you know, some people, you know, I'm for women's rights. I do not, by the way, believe in abortion, but I do believe, and this I think is important, even more than not believing in abortion, I don't believe that anyone should ever control another person's body, no matter how lofty their ideal is, or whether they think they're doing God's work, or whatever it is. You really don't have a right to control another person's body. And, you know, the 14th Amendment kind of got to that idea pretty well. But it's kind of frightening to me that we have this coming back at us now.
Well, you're appealing to the libertarian in me, which would completely agree. You can't tell other people what to do.
Yeah, it's just,
you learn that at childhood, you know? Just
yeah.
Stop telling people what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we want people to live healthy, wonderful lives, and but women's health, being half the population, we think we're important.
More than half.
That's right. And the better half at that. Sorry. Couldn't resist.
I'll just be quiet over here.
But would you like us to sing you a granny song?
I would, actually. That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask you.
Well,
Okay.
we don't memorize the songs because situations change.
Okay.
I will. I don't know if you can pick up on how many songs are on this list here, but it gives you an idea, and we're writing more all the time. So
Got lies, 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 lift every voice, look around you. Yeah. It's loaded full of songs.
Yeah.
And when we went to Washington, D.C., we were on the metro, and it was packed. It was packed, and they weren't moving because people were down on the steps and they couldn't close the doors. And so we got people to singing in the metro, and we had this whole car full of people singing and singing our choruses. This one is called This Old Gray Granny, and it's to the tune of The Old Gray Mare.
Which seems appropriate.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though I know I don't look my age.
Yeah, you started.
Three songs, okay, and I always start too high for Pat, but we'll see. This old gray granny ain't what she used to be, had a hysterectomy, needs a colonoscopy, but she can't afford to pay for her care, and so I guess we'll have to shoot her now. 'Cause where is she supposed to go when she doesn't have the dough? She dare not get sick without health insurance, so I guess we'll have to shoot her now. This old gray granny splits all her pills in half. The drug companies just laugh. Their profits are off the graph, but Granny can't afford to pay for her pills, and so I guess we'll have to shoot her now. 'Cause what is she supposed to do when money for the rent is due? She can't buy pills and groceries too, and so I guess we'll have to shoot her now. This old gray granny now needs a test or two. Her boob has a lump, it's true, but what is she supposed to do? She can't pay the bill, and so she'll just have to muddle through. I guess we'll have to shoot her now. Well, Granny's old, but she is wise. She knows we have to organize. So call up your rep and senators too, 'cause single payer health care for us all. So, so, you know, it's a way of making our voices heard, but with humor. And I don't know about you, but in this day and age, I have to laugh. I have to have at least 3 good laughs a day and do things that keep us happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good for you guys for keeping your voices heard. And
Thank you.
you know, it sounds like it's relevant to you.
Oh, it
like
is.
you're speaking from your heart, and I like how you guys have put it to the old melodies and tunes.
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
can join us.
Yes, and you can come bail us out of jail if necessary.
Well, there's always that. Yeah.
We have a song that's to John Lennon's when I'm 64, when you're 64.
Oh yes, this is a
And-
tune I know.
Oh yeah, and
Ours is
when
we're 94.
When we're 94, and we have put words to that make us feel good. But some of us are getting up there, and we may have to change it to 104 pretty soon.
Now, are you guys out there on social media, or do you pretty much just do live performances or protests, or what is it that you try and stick
Mainly
to?
live. You know, at our age, doing social media, some of them are smart enough to do that.
Well, you have grandkids, I'm sure, that can
Yes.
help you,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Oh, yes.
And they're proud of us.
Yeah,
They think we're great.
you guys are great performers.
So, but mainly we go to, we just go to gatherings and protests. We are actually part of WILP, the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom.
Which has been around for 100 years.
And
I see.
Yeah, they were called, Jane Addams, who started it 100 years ago, 102 years ago, was called the most dangerous woman in America by J. Edgar
Wow.
Hoover. And so we had an exhibition last year at the 100th anniversary of called 100 Years of Dangerous Women. So it's, there are groups in town of women who have been concerned for a long time trying to get social programs through. I remember my parents, I wasn't alive then, but my parents were from Washington, Seattle, and they marched on the Capitol, Olympia, Washington, to get milk for us as kids, and blankets. It was during the Depression.
Wow.
The first campaign that I ever worked on, I didn't really work, but I walked with my mother door to door for, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt
Oh,
in
Wow.
1944.
no kidding.
Yeah. So, we've been around a long time.
Yeah.
We've seen presidents come and go, and legislatures come and go, and things get done and things get taken away. And we want a good, healthy country for our grandkids. I have a daughter with diabetes and a granddaughter with diabetes type 1, and they need health care.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So we're thinking of the future generation. She does. She talks the most.
you'll notice who's doing the talking.
Well, you mentioned healthcare, and that's an important issue to so many people. And in your song, you mentioned something about just might as well just take us out and shoot us, right? Because that's sometimes the more humane thing than what's happening right now,
Well,
Yeah.
letting
well-
people just suffer.
And this is our satire. I'm not going to shoot myself.
No.
And my kids aren't going to shoot me.
No.
But this is taking it to the extreme.
Yeah.
What do we do when we have to split our pills in half?
Yeah.
What do we do when we have to choose between insulin and groceries?
And many women are living on very, very little money, Many women our age are really at the edge of poverty, even if they had a job. I taught school for a number of years, and when I quit because I moved to Yosemite and there wasn't any place really to work, but I knew I'd work and get Social Security. Little did I know that they take away from my pension, they deduct from Social Security, so I didn't have the two incomes like I thought I would. Fortunately, I was married, and so I'm not living in poverty, but this could affect a lot of women.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're getting by on a retirement that was settled, 20 or 30 years ago. Well, inflation, and there you are. How are
Right.
you
Yep.
affording
Right.
medical care or anything else?
Yeah.
And we were both married to professional men who supported us and our speaking out. Kay's husband was a judge up at Yosemite, which is why she was able to live up there.
Oh, wow.
And my husband was a physician in town.
Okay.
And they were both thinkers
Yeah.
and approved of our. It wouldn't matter if they'd approved or not anyway.
Probably not. However, I was the highest form of reincarnation, which is called a Yosemite housewife.
Ah. Is that what it is? Well, Raging Grannies, thank you so much for coming on the show. And
It's our pleasure.
I hope you pay us another visit sometime. You guys are a hoot.
Absolutely.
If no one's ever told you, I'm sure you've heard that.
We can bring more and sing along.
That would be great. Yeah, bring your whole posse. That'd be great.
Oh, I like posse.
I like
yeah.
posse.
The posse, what was the other name?
Gaggle, don't you?
Gaggle. Oh, Gaggle.
Gaggle, yeah.
Okay.
But we could play with posse a lot.
Yes, with your hat. That's called a posse hat.
And there are little ears on your hat.
Yes,
I
there
love
are
it.
little
It's adorable.
ears. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
thanks.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's been a pleasure. And again, I hope you guys come back sometime.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.
Okay.